All right. We are live. Welcome, guys, and welcome as we get the folks streaming in here. This is probably the most comments I've seen in YouTube since we've started. There's people that are already popping in here asking. They're like, there's going to be an update. Something's happening. When stream? Elbow cough. I don't know what all this stuff is, but super excited to have you guys on. Welcome to LunarCRUSH Live. I want to welcome Matthew and Josh from Origin. Really excited. Glad, I think John on our side was coordinating this through LunarCRUSH, and happy to have you guys on, and really excited, to have you guys kind of come and hang out with us today. So thank you both for being here. Just before we start, I want to know where in the world you guys are and what's it been like for the last, couple months for you.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having us.
Sure.
We're really excited to be here. We're both in the Bay Area, so in San Francisco.
Nice.
Last couple months have been, a lot of work and pretty much just that, while we wanted to, do social distancing and be responsible. But it turned out to be a really productive time for everyone at Origin. We've been really blessed to just have an amazing team that's been able to work in a very distributed manner. So everything's, full speed ahead for us.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, we've been working harder because there's no distractions. So people have been cranking really hard, and really excited to share the updates with you guys and your audience about what we've been up to. And like Matt said, thank you so much for having us on today.
Cool. So John, I think we want to do a quick giveaway first.
Yeah, that's a great way to start, isn't it? We're so excited to have you guys on today that we're going to do a small token of our appreciation and give away a few some LunarCRUSH merchandise to the community out there. So I'll post a tweet in just a moment here, but we'll give away a few t-shirts. All you have to do is take a screenshot of this live stream, post it to Twitter, say what you're most excited about with Origin Protocol, and tag us in Origin. And again, I'll post some instructions here in just a moment. But happy to have you guys on today. Very exciting.
Cool. So this is always a fun one that I like to do for people that don't really know about you guys yet. But what is like the elevator pitch for Origin? Like, what is the one sentence? Like, what do you guys tell people? And what's the most simple way to describe the project?
Yeah, here at Origin, we're trying to enable decentralized commerce. So that's kind of the shortest way we can describe it. But really what we're trying to do is, using blockchain technology, enable people to have peer-to-peer commercial transactions, so they can meet, chat, get to know each other on the blockchain, and ultimately a buyer and a seller will be able to exchange crypto assets, or even off-chain payment methods for some good or service. So that's what we've been working on for the past 3 years.
Cool. And you're using a different word with marketplaces when you say connecting people. And what was the motivation behind marketplaces? Is it kind of opening it up to a larger base? Is you saying that you're going to be able to solve more problems by saying marketplace? I mean, I saw, obviously, I think that some people have seen your quick kind of ad on the site, and it's beautifully done. Well done on that. I mean, it's, kind of getting across a bigger idea, and it's like a couple of simple use cases there with someone, whether it was like the Airbnb or at first when I saw it, I thought they were like purchasing the house very quickly. And I was like, damn, like these are a couple like large problems in here with the car and the house that you wanted to solve. I mean, was that kind of the vision? Is that what you kind of thought when putting that together?
Yeah, it was. We saw a lot of on one hand, we saw the sharing economy exploding. Lots of money flowing into companies like Uber and Airbnb. And these companies really changed the world and changed our lives in a big way. But they also came with some big downsides. These companies had a lot of control, a lot of power. And that wasn't always a good thing. And so you think of things like Airbnb as this peer-to-peer marketplace, but in reality, it's a peer to giant corporate monopoly to peer. And when we started looking at the Ethereum network and saying, well, what are the most interesting ways we can use this new technology, one of the things that jumped out at us was this ability to remove the middleman and enable that peer-to-peer commerce. And that was really what got us excited in the beginning, and largely what we've been working on ever since.
Cool. And would you consider yourself DeFi? Would you consider yourself dApp marketplace? Would you consider yourself public blockchain? What would you consider yourself?
So we would not consider ourselves a public blockchain, but everything else you mentioned, yes. So we are very much a DeFi project. You'll be hearing a little bit more about what we're working on in that space in near future. And of course, as I mentioned, our original mission and what we're really focused on is how do we enable decentralized commerce, peer-to-peer commerce.
Very cool. No, very, very cool. So tell us a little bit about, and maybe we could start, Josh, if you want to start. Tell us how you got into the space, what got you excited about it? What do you love about it? I mean, we all have an origin story. No pun intended.
Origin story for origin.
So I actually got into Bitcoin in 2010. Read about it on like Hacker News. It might have even been dig.com back in the day. And downloaded the software, mined my first block, like just on my laptop.
Nice.
And then I like closed it and went back to work and completely forgot about it until years later. So that was my first foray into crypto. But it was really Matt that got me excited about it again. He participated in the Ethereum crowd sale and kept telling me, Josh, you gotta check out Ethereum, and I put it off and didn't take it seriously for but once I started looking at it, it blew my mind. I said, I don't know what we're going to use this for, but this enables a new class of problems that we've never been able to solve before. And so we started brainstorming, coming up with different ideas of, what if we built an exchange? What if we built, an aggregator tool? What are the most useful or interesting ideas? And we put them on the whiteboard. And then we decided to pick the most audacious one out of the entire list, and that was Origin. And so that's how we got to where we are. And Matt and I have been working together for a while. We've actually been fortunate to build several companies together. And so that was a great foundation for starting Origin and enabled us to move really, really quickly and build some really cool stuff together.
It's awesome. And Matthew, how'd you get started?
Yeah, so
outside of sucking Josh in.
Yeah, I wasn't quite as early getting into Bitcoin as Josh. I think it was probably like 2012 or 13 when I purchased my first few Bitcoin. And similarly, it took me a couple iterations before I really understood how powerful this concept was. But it did pique my attention enough so that I did want to participate in the Ethereum crowd sale. And that kind of really started this journey down the rabbit hole. So, we've had a number of experiences building startups separately, as Josh mentioned, but also together.
Mm-hmm.
And the technology stack has always been different, but also the paradigms have just been totally different, right? How is value actually created and how is it captured? With blockchain, it just really started making our brains turn in a different way. It's been a really, really exciting journey. I first started trading some crypto assets, altcoins of like 2016 and 2017 a little bit. But at some point we realized like, hey, this is either all completely useless and they're just like speculative assets that aren't really worth anything, or there's got to be fundamental technology. If there's fundamental technology, it's going to create these massive disruptive shifts. And thankfully, we took the bet on the latter half, and we've been going at it hard ever since.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, it does seem like a lot of stories I hear of people that kind of find Bitcoin, and then it's like, whether it's a year or 2 years, and they're kind of like, is this gonna be anything? Is it gonna grow into something? And how is it gonna like manifest itself? And it just seemed like in 2016, 2017, when Ethereum came out and it was this huge disruptive force, and yeah, it was an ICO boom, but it was also, it just opened everyone's eyes, I think, a little bit to what is possible, with that large of a community building and growing and adapting, and the new chains that have been created, and now just solving problems in a much more efficient way. And I think that's what people don't realize when they get in, they're kind of learning about the space. They're like, what are all these other things? These other things are pointless. Like, there's just Bitcoin, and, it just drives me nuts because it's like, no, I mean, every single industry in the world can be disrupted through this, and so I think you guys are picking a huge one. And I think it's a really fun, cool space to kind of get into, and in marketplaces and commerce and e-commerce, especially, is a huge place. So, I kind of want to talk about that a little bit. I mean, tell us just a little bit about, just like the protocol and, I was going to start going through the white paper a little bit, and I mean, just tell us kind of like why, like, what was kind of the start of that, and why you guys wanted to go after this marketplace idea.
Yeah. I think we were really motivated by why all of this is important. And we were never into decentralization just for the sake of decentralization because it's cool, right? Decentralization to us only matters if it can solve real world problems in a better way that empowers our users. And in this case, it's buyers and sellers. And so there's like 4 things that we've talked about quite a lot in the history of Origin. It's like, but how do we add value? So one of these is you can actually reduce the fees, right? And you can help people keep more of the money when you take away the middlemen. So buyers and sellers can share in that upside. Also, a financial motivator is like, how do you give everyone a stake in the network, right? Can you build this shared network of people that are all kind of like both collaborating, but also competing? Everyone's like in it for themselves, but as a result of that, they're actually helping everyone else out as well. And so we think these new crypto network effects are super, super fascinating. And we've seen how this works, right? With Ethereum, with DeFi, and even with some of our products. Also, 2 other areas that we are highly motivated by. One is just promoting open and free commerce. How do we reduce things like censorship? How do we make it so that buyers and sellers can do whatever they want? They can make their own personal decisions as to what to sell, when to sell, how to sell it. And then finally, I think the longest term mission that we have is how do we actually empower the approximately 2 billion people that are currently unbanked all over the world. A lot of these people are still doing barter, right? They're doing like very, very inefficient means of transactions, and that actually slows down the economic growth of entire countries. So if we can actually empower these people to use cheap Android phones and be able to transact with one another quickly and cheaply using digital assets, then we've opened up a whole new realm of economic growth for all these individuals, and that's like a very inspiring thing to work on.
Yeah.
So as that grows, we're in California too. You guys, we're all in California here, so we're all fully aware of what's going on with Uber and Lyft and the endless regulation on Airbnb. How do you make something that, I don't want to call it bypasses regulation, but it's compliant in a manner that you're not going to be, attacked being a user on Origin? How do you guys deal with this as this grows to the scale of an Airbnb or greater, much greater? The vision sounds like it's way greater. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with different governments and jurisdictions and regulation?
Yeah, so it's funny you bring it up. So I was actually an Airbnb host here in San Francisco before getting shut down by the city. They said I was running a unlicensed hotel and shut me down. So this was like very personal for me. And while we aren't encouraging people to break the law, we do really believe in maximizing personal liberty. And so what we're doing, we're just creating tools, right? We're creating tools, we're putting it out there, and allowing people to use them, but in a way that focuses on maximizing personal liberty versus trying to come in with an overhand, or coming in and trying to set the rules or follow the rules of all these jurisdictions that really are just not doing a very good job keeping up with the rate of innovation in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's tough because depending where you go, it's different, right? It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So did you guys do an ICO with Origin and was there a jurisdiction that you did that in? I mean, airdrop. I mean, how did you guys kind of launch it originally?
Yeah, so we didn't actually do an ICO. We did do several rounds of private pre-sales.
Okay.
The original intention was to do a full-on ICO, but as the regulatory climate changed, we realized that that probably wasn't the wisest thing to do. So instead, we eventually opted to just do a direct listing on Binance, which is the world's highest volume cryptocurrency exchange.
Gotcha.
Rather than raising any additional funds, we just decided to do a direct listing in January of this year, and that's when the token was released to the general public.
Cool. Yeah. No, it gets a little interesting, especially with jurisdictions around that, and you guys are living here in the U.S. and having access to different investor groups, and there's different exceptions that you can do. And so it's just kind of interesting to see how people are kind of going about it and actually creating the utility token and what the regulation is around that. And I think a lot of people got really nervous like about a year or so ago, and it was like an absolute like no-go zone. And I think now there's a little bit more interesting ways to go about it. So to hear you guys kind of going that route, it's great. And it's, as a US citizen, it's just innovation seems like it's kind of flying out the door a little bit when people have to go to other jurisdictions and other places to create innovation and to create this really interesting technology. And now it's like, it's kind of basing somewhere else, even though maybe the talent and the labor is here from a design perspective or development perspective, but infrastructure could be somewhere else. And so, I was just kind of wondering how you guys put it together. So
we spent a lot of time talking to lawyers, far more than you would ever imagine for any technology startup. But I think regulators need to realize that like we're competing in a global marketplace, and people can go anywhere, right? So if they crack down on things here in the United States, all they're doing is forcing that innovation to happen in other countries and other places. It's not going away, right? You can't put the genie back in the bottle. This stuff is here to stay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
And I'll just add that the very nature of what we're doing, right? Blockchain technologies and trying to decentralize value capture and empower people all over the world, that in itself is a global initiative, right? And so you really can't stop it. Like we have team members in New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, China, Korea, and we expect as our team grows to have global contributors from all over the world working on this collective mission with us.
Right, and it's only going to increase. I mean, just as the market is decentralized, so are the people, right? That's part of it. And we talk about it all the time. We over 180 countries where people are visiting LunarCRUSH.com. No one from Greenland yet, so if someone's listening from Greenland, just like hit the site real quick. But it's amazing to see, and it's super fun to watch. And then it's different languages that you have to solve for, and Telegram groups and Twitter channels of all different languages. I mean, how are you guys thinking about growth and marketing? I mean, there's just a lot that goes into that, and then building kind of, I was just kind of looking at the stores that you guys are having. Is it like, how multi-language were you from the outset? Is that something that you guys strategized for really early on?
It just happened. We started out open source. And started out distributed. First engineer we hired was in Colorado, and so it just took off. Like we just kept finding great people who were contributing to the code. Most of them didn't live here in Silicon Valley; they live all over the globe.
Yeah.
And then we started having people show up and start volunteering to translate our content. And so we have over 50 translators who are just volunteering to translate our websites in 20 different languages. And that stayed true with all of every product we've launched has been multilingual from day one. And it's just been, it's one of the coolest parts of working in this industry is just seeing that community come together. Not to support Josh and Matt, but to support a mission and a cause that they believe in and want to be a part of. And that's really humbling and really exciting for us to have this community. The volunteer translators, the 170 people who have contributed code to our code base, the hundreds of thousands of people on our email list. I mean, it's really, really humbling, and it really is the most important part of what we're building at Origin is this community. We like to say it's 50% technology and 50% community, but I think that's probably wrong. It's probably like more important, but community is probably even more important than the technology that we're building.
Yeah, very cool. Well, you're falling right into our trap there of, our line is always, without a community, there is no crypto. And, part of it,
agree more. Yeah.
Without conversation, there is no crypto. And, that's part of the mission and reason that we founded LunarCRUSH was because of that. And we knew that, we wanted to showcase projects and we wanted to create transparency, and it's all about the community. I mean, which is crazy to think. I mean, you're not the first person that's told me that's worked on a project. I mean, 50 translators and 170 people adding code, that's a lot. That's more than I've heard, but there's still a lot of people that are just volunteering time. Maybe they're made an investment in the token at some point, and, they are creating translation. I mean, it's a lot of people. I mean, how are you managing that many different people? Are they coming to you like through Twitter, Telegram, just saying they want to help, and then suddenly it's like they've translated it and kind of shipped it off to you?
Yeah, we've gotten
Yeah.
more organized over time and have process flows for this. We use Crowdin for translation.
Yeah.
GitHub is obviously where we sort and coordinate all the issues. And doing all our work in public really helps because it makes it very easy for people to get up to speed, see what we're working on, see wherever challenges are, where we can jump in and help. And that's been part of our culture since day one. And it's really the best way to run any sort of business or project.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think maximum transparency is definitely the way to go. We see many projects advocate this philosophy, but oftentimes people fall short. And we try our very best to be as transparent with the community as possible because this is what it's all about, right? We can't do this ourselves. At some point, we expect there to be millions and millions of supporters of Origin, and that's the only way that we can change the world together.
That's awesome.
By the way, is that the DJ Blau?
It is.
On here now?
That is
What's
the
up,
DJ
Justin?
Nice.
He's a good friend of ours. Thanks for jumping in, Blau.
Well, great DJ too. Very good. Shout out.
A little shout out for you guys. There you go.
Thanks, Justin.
Wow.
I'll send you your Bitcoin for saying that later.
So I'd love to hear just a little more lower level. Like, let's break this down. Like, we have a very, very quick shop that we threw up on Shopify, selling some t-shirts, because there wasn't a day that was going by that we had some t-shirts. And I knew you guys have your DShop, your shoporigin.com, your marketplace app. I'd love to hear about your product architecture a bit and how we could even use it potentially. Like, how does a standard, I don't want to call this a standard business, but how does a business start engaging and how does that all work?
Yeah, so the beauty is we've actually tried to simplify everything. So you can actually do this in a self-serve way now. So DShop is probably what you want to, where you want to start, especially if you want to sell merchandise. So originprotocol.com/DShop. What will happen is you can actually create a DShop in just a matter of minutes. That's one way to do it. Another way, if you want to do purely self-hosted, you can do it on Google Cloud via our partnership with the Google Cloud team. But once you set up a DShop, it's just a few minutes to set up your product categories, your collections, actually input those products, and you can turn a store live probably within 30 minutes if you're really fast. And from an architecture standpoint, the whole thing is hosted on IPFS. So it's decentralized. It's set up to take cryptocurrency payments, ERC20 or Ethereum out of the box. If you want to take credit card, which we still know is very, very popular in global e-commerce, you can just add a Stripe API key and start taking payments that way. We also plan to introduce additional off-chain payment methods soon. So you can imagine sometime in the future, you may be able to take BTC payments for your merchandise or even something a little bit more esoteric. A lot of the projects that we're working with, they want to be able to accept payments in their own cryptocurrencies. And so that's one thing that we've been enabling them to do. So today, I would encourage you to go start a DShop. We can actually help you do the migration. And in terms of the upcoming roadmap, we plan to make it easier and easier to use. You'll be able to have more custom themes, look and feel, third-party integrations. For example, right now we have a drop shipping integration. So you can actually, if you are familiar with Printful, you can actually sign up with a Printful account, hook that up to your DShop. Then you don't even need to carry inventory. You just need to come up with your t-shirt designs. Someone's able to place an order and it ships directly from Printful to your end customer and totally in a decentralized way. So we think it's a pretty elegant solution, but we'd love for you to try it out and let us know what you think.
And that's what Brave is doing, I assume, right? You have the Brave store on your platform?
That's exactly right.
So then let's say that there's a store so the Brave store is stood up. Does this end up showing up in your marketplace dApp as well? All of the items that are in there, does it kind of work together?
So the data is available on IPFS. We've talked about whether at some point we would aggregate items from different sellers, opt-in, of course. But yeah, we've talked about how we can circulate, we can aggregate all that into user experiences. One of the things that's pretty powerful about doing this stuff on Ethereum blockchain and IPFS is, again, if you want to be discovered, it's really easy to be discovered. And so we also imagine a future where as people end up creating their own stores, their sellers, there's also a vibrant secondary order of participants that says, hey, like I want to help LunarCRUSH sell products and services because LunarCRUSH is willing to offer a small commission whenever I drive traffic for them. And that data will be accessible to these third-party bloggers or influencers, affiliates, and they'll be able to highlight your products, let's say in their blogs, or perhaps they've created new vertical-specific applications. And when they help you make sales, then they're able to participate with commissions. This is what we call the open shared data network, and this is something that we're very excited about in the coming months.
That's great.
It's really cool. I think I mean, Shopify is such an interesting platform, and it's really their developer community that is really, makes them stand out. And I think their goal is to always have like somewhat similar revenue numbers coming to the entire development community that's also coming to Shopify. I mean, is that something that you guys want? I mean, you talked about community needing to foster that. Is it going to be as simple to build into Origin and the DShop and some of the things that you guys are doing? Is it going to be as simple to kind of create that development community?
That's certainly the ambition. So we do want to open this up to developers soon and then enable them to create new apps and services. One thing that is different is we won't be charging the Shopify platform tax. So Shopify, depending on if you're making a theme or if you're releasing a full-featured application, could take anywhere from 10% to 30% of recurring revenue. Yeah. And we don't plan to do that. So over time, we hope that a completely open source platform that doesn't charge developer fees can be a very attractive option for the many different e-commerce developers all over the world.
Another big difference there is that if you're a developer building on a Shopify platform, most likely you don't have any stake in Shopify's success. Whereas if you're building on Origin, you're a holder of OGN, you in a very real way can actually own a stake of what we're building. And that is really cool, right? That you have people who have a lot more incentive to help make this a success. And so it's just like the early days, or really even today, when people buy some Bitcoin, and the first thing we do is go out and tell all our friends, hey, you should buy this too. Or you go and buy some shitcoin and then go tell all your friends, basically jump in on it as well. That incentive is really important because it helps rally everyone around the same cause and really drive that success.
That's a great point. Definitely. Yeah. Shopify, with the way that they're working, I have seen instances also where Shopify will see a really good idea and they'll just copy it, right? And they'll push people out. And it's to see like in an environment where that's not possible, right? Technically, I think that's pretty amazing, and it's just creating the competition between mid-sized to smaller developers. I think that's the way to go. So very cool.
Right.
Yeah. We're about halfway through. I mean, you guys said that you might have something you want to show. I don't know if you want to show that now, or we're going to do another giveaway, or.
I was going to say we're ready to make a surprise announcement. The news just broke on CoinDesk, but why don't I go ahead and show you my screen and share with everyone on LunarCRUSH.
All right, let's do it. All right, you're added.
Here we go. So today, we at Origin are very, very happy to announce the launch of Origin Dollar, OUSD. This is our new stablecoin that will enable anyone to earn a yield passively while it's still sitting in your wallet. So we want to build a better version of Tether. So imagine today, if I have 10,000 OUSD in my wallet, and I decide to send you 1,000, John. The moment that hits your MetaMask wallet, it starts earning yield for you. So unlike other products in DeFi that require staking, that require locking, none of that is required with OUSD. So John, you can then take 500 of that, send it to Josh, and Josh will start earning yield automatically as well. The whole thing is designed to be as seamless and as painless as possible. We want to be able to bring DeFi yields to the crypto mainstream. Today, there's like a huge universe of people in crypto that are curious about DeFi, but don't quite have the sophistication or insider knowledge yet to use some of these more complex platforms. They're not necessarily familiar with being a liquidity provider on Uniswap or on Balancer, They're not necessarily using Aave or Compound all the time. But with OUSD, we can bring that earning potential to the crypto masses. So we're super, super excited about it. And this is how it works on the back end. So once you get your OUSD, we then take the stable coins that you used to mint OUSD and put that on Balancer or Curve or Uniswap or Compound. And that's how we're able to generate those yields for you automatically. There's a very unique property of Origin Dollar. It has elastic supply. That means it's rebasing. So again, you're able to get more units of OUSD minute by minute, block by block. So in contrast to other DeFi products where you may end up with a LP token, for example, you end up with OUSD and just the number of units of OUSD goes up. Today, if I put in 10,000 OUSD, it might be that in a couple months I have 12,000 OUSD, for example. OUSD is backed one-to-one by existing stablecoins. To start, we're using USDT, USDC, and DAI. This means that the three most widely used stablecoins can be used to convert into Origin dollars. And then you can take your idle stablecoins, which are likely not earning any yield for you, and earn yield passively with OUSD. Now, what better way to demonstrate it than to actually show you the product?
Let's see it.
So here we go.
And this is live at OUSD.com for all of you watching along and want to go check that out for yourself. It's all live.
And again, we've tried to make this as simple as possible. So here I've showed up at OUSD.com. I've connected my MetaMask wallet. The app automatically detects what other stablecoins I happen to have here. Let's say I'm a first-time user, and I'm just going to mint a smaller amount of OUSD as a test. So I'm putting in roughly 120 of USDT, DAI, and USDC, expecting to get 120 OUSD back.
Good old MetaMask.
Good old live demo.
And we'll increase the gas here just to make sure that it goes fast. And here we go. So under the covers, we're taking your normal stablecoins, the underlying assets, and we're sending them to the OUSD smart contract. The OUSD smart contract immediately mints OUSD. You see that incrementing in your balance right here, 120 OUSD. And then what happens is the OUSD vault will start deploying this to underlying DeFi strategies. Today, we're starting with Compound, but in the near future, we'll also be adding a number of other strategies. Again, some of the top platforms we mentioned before, Aave, DYDX, Curve, Uniswap, Balancer, and we'll also be pursuing some higher yield, more esoteric yields as well. The entire intention here is to take your existing stable coins, put them in a diversified set of strategies to maximize the yield that you'll get while still protecting your underlying capital. So this isn't the same thing as, hey, let's go take a gamble on the 10,000 APY strategy that only works for a few days or a week at most. Our idea here is to build a very long-term product. We want to be at this for decades. And in the short term, we'd like to start helping people utilize their existing stablecoins better with the intention of creating an upgrade over existing stablecoins like Tether.
So you mentioned a rebase. How often does it rebase, and what do those rules look like? Is it just supply demand? And tell us more about that.
Yeah, so it actually happens continuously. So it's rebasing for those of you who are not familiar with this concept. The idea is that instead of the value of your OUSD going up as it becomes more valuable, instead we distribute more units of that value. So one OUSD is always worth $1, but you'll see more of them in your wallet over time. And that happens continuously. So every time that someone interacts with the smart contracts, we take whatever yield we've earned from these different DeFi platforms, and then we distribute that pro rata to all of the holders of OUSD. And so these rewards are coming from basically 3 different categories. One would be the lending platforms, so things like Compound and Aave, the automated market makers like Uniswap and Balancer, and then the automatically liquidating the rewards tokens that you're getting from platforms like Compound, where we give away free comp tokens, or Uniswap started giving free uni tokens. We can actually liquidate those for you, convert it back into stable coins, and then distribute that yield in the form of additional units. So we borrowed the elastic supply concept from Ampleforth, but it's very different in what it actually looks like in the implementation. You know, Matt and I are both Ampleforth holders, and we see our balance go wildly up and down every day. In this case, we're not putting because your principal is being held in stable coins. As long as the underlying systems are working, you should just see, you know, a steady increase over time, instead of it wildly fluctuating all over the place.
And so that rebasing is separate from the APY, or it is the APY, as you get more coin in your wallet.
You get more coin in your wallet, depending on how high the APY is. You're getting more. The higher APY is, the higher the number of coins that are coming into your wallet.
And there's never like a negative rebase below $1. That's like the floor of it.
So that's the intention, yeah. So it's theoretically possible. If Tether loses its peg or DAI loses its peg, something catastrophic happens. And so we've discussed potentially having some sort of insurance or other ways to guarantee the principal. That's something that we'll be exploring. But for all intents and purposes, if things are working as designed, then it should only be going up. It's not designed to be a speculative asset that fluctuates widely. Instead, we want long-term, consistent, sustained growth, upwards and to the right.
Yeah. I mean, we're coming for your Tether. We want you to. We view this as a superior stablecoin. You can hold Tether in your wallet and it just sits there, or you can hold OUSD and it's just about as safe, but it gives you some yield. It'll never be, OUSD will probably never be the highest yield opportunity out there. But it's a great place to park your money when you want to sleep at night, knowing that your money's at work and you're not missing out opportunities just by sitting in Tether.
This is awesome. Congratulations, guys. Really.
Yeah, congratulations.
Cool.
That was awesome.
Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome to begin making your deposits right after this call. Everything is live. It's on mainnet. We've deployed and have been testing for a while now, but we also invite the community to check it out, get some OUSD, and then feel free to send your friends some, right? This is a great way to introduce people that aren't already into cryptocurrencies to crypto. Just tell them, hey, check out like your existing savings account, zero interest. Now you can earn a healthy yield with OUSD.
You know where this is really interesting is when you talk about e-commerce, and we've had other like platforms out there. Even we had Utrust the other day, and I had asked them the question, what do the retailers typically do when they're accepting crypto payments? Yeah. And the answer was they cash them out a lot because they have to have cash to support their business. So this becomes really interesting when you're a business owner and you're a lot less worried about holding crypto because it's going to be pegged to the dollar. And to accept that and to keep that, that's actually really, really great. And to get interest on that money more than the bank is going to give you.
Right,
so,
right.
That's
a hugely important insight. I'm glad you brought that up. So yeah, today, if you're a merchant, you're paying credit card processing fees 2.9%, or you're potentially doing things like net 30. You don't get paid for 30 days, right? But with OUSD, not only do you get paid, you start earning new capital as soon as that hits your wallet. And so that's a huge incentive for merchants to start accepting cryptocurrency. And it's even possible that we may see an OUSD discount of some sorts, right? We know some merchants like to accept cash rather than credit card because of that delta, and sometimes they're willing to give 1 or 2 points discount. Same thing could potentially happen with OUSD, especially as we look to increase the yields over time. Also very related to what we're already doing at Origin is Origin DShops, the product we mentioned earlier in the call. These are going to be accepting OUSD from today onwards. So this will be one of the default payment methods. People don't want to use it, they can of course turn it off, but default setting is they will be able to accept OUSD the moment they launch their DShop.
And so that's almost am I right in saying that's, if you include the APY, that's almost a 6% difference than accepting MasterCard if you're a retailer, because you're not paying the 3% and you're getting interest on that dollar of 3%.
Yeah, yeah, and that 3% is just today, which is probably a more conservative APY than where we'll be at in just a few weeks.
Wow.
Very good stuff, guys. No, it's super interesting to think about the shops and, you know, even transacting in OUSD, or if they're transacting in the way that you showed that automatically converting over was amazing. And so it's like that technology can be used for anything else, where it's like, hey, no matter what I'm being paid in, you can now push this down to OUSD, get your 2.29, whatever it could be, you know, going forward, it maybe can go up a little bit. I think this is going to create like you guys are creating marketplaces. It's going to create a great infrastructure for you guys. Congratulations, really good stuff.
Thanks.
And thanks for announcing it on our live stream. That's super cool. I don't know if you guys did something, but I saw the viewers go spike up right there for a second. So maybe people saw it, they got excited. So I saw the CoinDesk article too. So that dropped. So very, very good stuff.
Well, I just had to post a tweet with just shared a summary. I mean, positive reaction ever since this live stream started. So if we could just keep this going for about the next 6 hours, everyone's going to be in a good spot.
Yeah. Well, let's start the next crypto bull run right here.
I think everyone would need that right now, man. Very good stuff. So this kind of sets you guys up for some stuff in the future. Is like what are some of the things that might be a little bit further out there that you guys are thinking about, and that, you know, you needed to create this now?
Yeah, so we're starting with OUSD, and it opens a lot of new opportunities for us. We started a conversation today talking about enabling peer-to-peer commerce. We've talked a lot about how this can happen on our platform on DShop, but also unlocks this ability for us to enable peer-to-peer commerce off our platform as well. Still ties into our mission, but even bigger opportunity than what we've been doing to date. OUSD might be the biggest thing we've worked on to date as a company. It's that big. For next steps for us as we think about this, we're going to be investing a lot on adding new strategies behind the scenes. This gives us a couple benefits. One is more diversification. That makes it safer for the holders of OUSD, but all your money is not in one asset or not in one platform in case there's a smart contract failure there. So diversification of strategies is good. Also helps us get access to higher yields as well. So if there's higher yields available on Aave, then Compound, the protocol can automatically start reallocating assets towards Aave and giving a higher return for all the holders. So that's one of the most immediate things that we're going to start working on. Beyond that, we have a section on our website about this and the different stages and how we want to actually start relinquishing control over OUSD to the community. And so that's going to be a phased approach, but it's something that we really believe in. This is too important for us to be the only people holding it or controlling it. And so we have a bit of a roadmap that's on our website, sharing how we plan to slowly and carefully hand over the controls to our community and really let them be in charge of deciding, how much risk they want to take, what types of partnerships they want to work on, and making all those decisions for this protocol going forward.
Very cool. And I think one other thing that's very important to mention is we'd love for OUSD to be a DeFi money logo, like many of the other products that have been released in DeFi already. And once you start thinking about how OUSD can be used in new products, whether it's in automated market makers or in lending platforms itself, or products that go more upstream to more mainstream consumers, right? You can imagine potentially in the future, there's a Venmo or PayPal-like experience, but built on top of OUSD, right? So peer-to-peer payments between friends, or again, buyers and sellers, but people are always earning interest in the background. And there are potentially even layers of abstraction where we allow all the crypto stuff to be kind of hidden away, right? People just know that they're earning these new high yields. It's kind of magical to them, but it just works. That's one of the longer term visions that we have for OUSD.
No, that's really good.
Great.
I think we've got some questions from Twitter. Maybe we can go through those for a couple minutes, and that might be fun.
Yeah.
there's a lot. I'd hoped we'd go over some social data off of our site and all that, but I think there's probably so many questions that, yeah, we definitely should focus there.
You're going to have us back.
Yeah, right. Or
Yeah.
extend this to 5 or 6 hours, like I suggested. I mean,
just come up with another announcement and we'll do it.
There does seem to be a consistent one that's popping up on Twitter right now, and as well as in here. Here, I'll just show this one. A lot of people are asking, how does this benefit OGN? We've got IamScripto and Apple Freak on here, and there's others as well. But how does the OUSD affect OGN?
Yeah, so we will have upcoming announcements that more directly address this question. But at minimum, we can say that OGN will be a part of our decentralized governance process, right? So you'll be able to stake OGN for governance privileges as well as incentives. More beyond that, we'll give more details as we firm up exactly how to roll that out. But at a higher level, the more traffic that we can bring to our DShops, as well as potentially off DShop commerce, potentially we can build like a Shopify widget or wherever, right? That allows Shopify merchants to accept OUSD. Then that's as a whole hugely beneficial to the Origin network. So we have a number of things that we're working on. We definitely want to make sure that OGN holders benefit from this new product launch. We see that OUSD and their existing Origin Commerce Network are going to work very hand in hand, and there's going to be a very virtuous cycle here.
That's great.
And Matt and I are huge OGN holders ourselves, and to date we haven't sold a single token. So we're very bullish on the future of OGN. We've actually made public commitments that we're not going to sell any OGN for at least the rest of the year. We really believe the best days for OGN are really ahead, and we're excited to continue holding. Our bags are very heavy, and we're very happy with it that way.
I love hearing that. And so does everyone in the community, I'm sure. We need a lot more founders with conviction these days.
Yeah, we're here for the long term.
It's great.
Yeah, we brought that up on a previous stream, just talking a little bit about, there used to be a lot more pseudonyms, right? And people that didn't have their face in front of a and people would say, oh, that's a scam project or, whatnot. And I think what people forget about our space is it's just a bunch of startups, right? And what we know from being in startups is that most of them are going to fail, right? It doesn't matter what accelerator you went through or what you did, it's going to fail. And it doesn't mean that was a scam. It just means that, that person could have been working 22 hours a day and busting their ass. But, these things, it's kind of where hard work meets opportunity. And sometimes it's luck. And so it's not a scam, but it's a much different thing when you put your face out there and you put your name out there and you're saying that you're working towards a goal. So, even you guys being on today and then you just, saying what you just did say there, it's important for people to hear that because, the sushi swap scenarios and, everything else that's out there. And, I don't know if Charlie Lee set the best precedent, with Litecoin, but it is a precedent indeed. But it could kind of, it's just a different, it's just a different type of way to kind of grow and say, I'm stepping aside, but parts of this industry are still going to be somewhat centralized until we can get completely out into the decentralized nature that we think that it all can be at. So that's really good.
Yeah, we have no problem with anonymous founders, right? I mean, Satoshi is anonymous. There's no problem with that. In a way, the good thing is it forces you to evaluate it without bias, right? It doesn't, all of the biases, your racism or sexism, all of that is gone. The only downside is you don't get to say, trust me. If you're not showing your face, you don't get to ask anyone to trust you because you don't know who they are, right? You've got no reputation on the line. And so the benefit of coming out here and doing your work in public, and I would challenge other founders to sign your work, put your name on it. Let people know that you're willing to stand by it. And I think it goes a long way. And we need more people in this community who are willing to stake their reputations and not hide behind some animated character.
Yeah. And I'll just add, disruptive technology and really meaningful projects, they're not going to be built overnight. Yes, we can see like some really interesting, exciting stuff happen in potentially a few short weeks, right? But if we truly want to bring cryptocurrencies and blockchain to the rest of the world, right, 7 billion plus people in the world, many of which have no idea what Ethereum or Bitcoin are, we need to be in it for a long time, right? And all the amazing value creation and consequently the value capture usually happens near the later years, right? For anything that has exponential growth, the first few months or first few years, the growth rate is very important, but the absolute value that you can grow in that time period is just not as high. But over the course of multiple years, if you have a good compound growth rate or APY on not only your yields, but also your technology and your team and your community, then massively important, generationally significant companies and projects and movements can be built in the span of 4 years, 5 years, 10 years even.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any more questions from Twitter, John?
We got so many questions. I'll just call it a few. I think you guys liked a few of them potentially here, but I'm gonna ask one here from Bruce the Goose. He's at X Bruce the Goose. He says, do crypto payments apply to the automated order fulfillment through Printful? For example, I accept to use Ticker Whale in my DShop, which uses Printful for merchandise. If someone pays for a t-shirt using 2 whales, is that recognized by Printful? So I think he's getting at like, can the ecosystem all the way through accept crypto and that token, or does it have to be cashed out?
Yeah, so Printful don't take crypto, but you can still accept crypto payments, and a lot of our users do this. Printful, for those who don't know, is a service where they'll take care of inventory and shipping it for you. It's great, and we have an integration with DShop. So when someone comes to your DShop to buy a LunarCRUSH t-shirt, they can pay in ETH or OGN or OUSD or whatever tokens you support, and then behind the scenes you would actually settle the bill in fiat with Printful, but then you can still offer that service for your customers, which is really cool.
Cool, it's great. A lot of people are asking, are you guys going to launch a DeFi product?
We just did.
We'll launch another one. Don't worry. We have long-term plans in DeFi, so we'll be back with another update or announcement in 2 or 3 months.
Sure. A lot of people are asking about Telegram, and actually, that is a question. I mean, I'd love to hear more about your social efforts. Where do you guys focus? What's your strategies that you want to release publicly? But a lot of people are asking about, what's the, like, for example, UAA Moses 8 on Twitter says, regarding the recent selection of ambassadors by the different Origin Telegram communities, what were the key aspects that were taken into account for the role of ambassador?
Do you want to take on that?
At a high level, I would say like we're looking from people of different regions. We actually have a couple different ambassador programs. Like we have a global ambassador program, one specifically for Spanish-speaking countries. We have one in Korea that's actually off to quite a strong start as well. This goes back to what we were saying earlier, right? It's all about global communities. This is not something that's being built just in San Francisco, United States. It's a global movement. And so in order to succeed together, we need to have ambassadors from all different countries and languages. And so this is a relatively new effort by us, but we are looking for passionate individuals, individuals that are believe in the mission of what we're working on, and not just like, hey, this is kind of like the new shiny project, but I just want my airdrop or whatever. We're really looking for people that believe in what we're doing and can grow with us. That's really what it takes, right? You need that authentic interest to really be able to spread the word in a passionate way. And so I think that's like the biggest criteria in terms of like, specific hours or shifts or things like that, or specific programs, short-term projects, that all can change, right? And that's all going to be variable as our different country regional managers, I guess, like adjust the programs over time.
Awesome.
We got another one from crypto_GNO. What updates do you have in mind for the future of DShop? do you plan to add another crypto such as a payment or Uphold?
So we are planning to enable many different types of payment methods. And we are also going to make it easier so that it's not just us that has to add these, right? We want to make it easier so that third-party developers can add their own payment widgets or other people's different payment methods. And beyond that, we want to extend from just payment methods to the broader DShop product, right? So over time, you should be able to see it become more and more customizable, more modular, and it really becoming a developer platform and not just a single origin created product. We expect this to evolve quite a bit, go through many types of like almost like metamorphosis into like a new product. And at some point, your DShop, Joe, may look completely different from Josh's DShop because they're in different verticals with different themes, with different third-party open source plugins, potentially with different payment methods. And it's just going to be like this, fully customizable store, but all sharing the same underlying technology and infrastructure.
All right, John, I think we got time for one more.
Oh boy.
Make it a good one.
There's just so many. I know I'm on YouTube trying to find something. This isn't going to work. I'm going to go back over here. This is interesting because we hear, actually, we even saw it in your demo of OUSD. This is from Jose Moran. What are the advantages of this project with ERC20? And how do you expect to maintain adequate transaction fees for users? And this is something we literally see every day on our Twitter, people complaining about transaction fees. So maybe I'd love to hear a little more about that.
Yeah, so Ethereum has by far the largest community. Obviously, we're paying attention to alternate chains that are coming up. We're good friends with some of the founders of those other projects. But Ethereum, for all its flaws, still has the biggest and best community. And so it was a pretty easy choice for us to build on Ethereum back in 2017 and again today, with OUSD being an ERC20 token. That said, when we were playing with around the different DeFi opportunities, we got really sick of $100 of gas it takes to mint and get into your vault. So it's very, very frequent experience where you're spending tens or hundreds of dollars to come in and out of these different positions, liquidate your rewards tokens, and then at the end of it, you go, I don't know if I ended up ahead or not, right? I've spent $500 in gas. Am I actually getting enough value out? And so one of the things that's really cool about OUSD is the way that you can just own it. You just buy it, right? You can buy it on a centralized exchange. You can buy it on Uniswap today. And that's all you have to do. And you don't have to, we showed the UI where you can mint it and you go through that process. Certainly if you're a whale and you want to buy a large position, that's your best way to do it. But the easiest way to do it is just go buy it on Uniswap today. We already have a liquidity pool there with Tether that you can find. And we imagine this will be available on all the top exchanges as well in the coming days. And so that'll be the easiest way for people to get involved, and you don't have to worry about the gas fees.
Awesome.
Will those exchanges be paying the APY, or does that have to go into the application you were showing at OUSD.com?
So right now, the APY is being delivered to any holder of OUSD. So you don't actually have to use the app, right? So as Josh was saying, you can go buy it on Uniswap, just hold it in your ledger or your MetaMask, go check it tomorrow. The number should be higher than it is today. For centralized exchanges, we obviously will need to do some integration work with them so that when they're holding OUSD on behalf of their customers, that they're able to reflect that APY for them. So it'll be a bit of a process, but we're already having conversations with several exchanges about this.
Well done.
That's really interesting. I'm interested to see what kind of precedent that kind of sets with them as well, because it is kind of a different type of, it's a different address. So very cool. Well, Josh, Matthew, thank you both for joining us. Everyone go to OUSD.com, the first stablecoin that earns a yield while it's still in your wallet, right? That's what it says on there. So thank you guys so much for for joining us. This was awesome. The community, thank everyone for joining. And John, as always, it's a pleasure. Everyone.
Thank you so much. It's our pleasure as well. We look forward to the next one.
All righty.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Until next time.